Hey Evan, it's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Hey, thank you so much for having me on. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing just fine. And you see, like I mentioned earlier, thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate it. And you see, oftentimes, Evan, I love to thank my guests for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, Evan, I want to say thank you for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes, Evan, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some months back, all right, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Evan, just recently I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately I got the heart to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And not just mangoes now, but ripe mangoes. So it was a beautiful moment
Mm,
that day. I was just there in excitement. I was amazed. It was a special moment. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing heaven that you are today. That alone has made it really impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you see you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your work, your philosophy, your insight, and the impact what you're doing is having. It's amazing. And just before you got the request from me, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Evan is doing. Not only me now, but even the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Evan. So thank you so very much, Evan, for investing in yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thank you, my man.
well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate that.
Beautiful. So let's get started. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today, Evan, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge now, but the application of it. And you see, Evan, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I am excited to have the amazing Evan on the show is for the sake of the listeners. You see, Evan, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, high opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So, for that reason, Evan, my man, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey, because right now we are just so curious. We want to know how Evan got here. Then, afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Evan, over to you.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, my journey's been a journey, just like everyone else's. Definitely started out with humble beginnings, divorced parents, and things like that. So there was some early childhood trauma. My father was abusive. My brother was born with a birth defect, and so just struggling in school, not being very popular, expected to be okay, just really struggling through life and, finding meaning out of it. And that's, where I became a Christian and following after God and really just trusting in Him for all that I needed, and that was really important for my journey. Growing up, I was very curious. My father had ran some businesses, some success, some failure, and I always was an analytical guy. And so, just going through college, doing the military, a lot of other things that really shaped me as a person, um, and professionally as well, and ended up starting the business today that I'm working on, which is connecting buyers and sellers on an online marketplace.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I love the fact that you're doing what you're doing, providing solution to problems. That's a good one. So, um, let us look at your personal background. All right. Can you feed us some more? I'm just curious. Okay. I just want to know more. I was growing up like, what was it like?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So for me, I was always the student that I was considered gifted at a young age, and a lot of people will look at that giftedness and be like, "Man, it must be nice to be in school." And for me, I was able to sit in a class, listen to a teacher. I did really well on my test. I never really studied, and it sounds nice until you get a little bit older. One of the things that I didn't really have the opportunity to do was I didn't learn how to work the muscle of trying hard. I didn't know how to work hard. I didn't know how to struggle. And so just life coming easy from an academic point of view, into adulthood, even in college, it was very similar. It's made it very tough to apply myself and do things that are tough and walk into failure. And so I've had to learn how to fail and fail forward, fail successfully, and to look at failure as an opportunity to grow and develop myself. And that's one aspect of my upbringing in my life. Another one was really because my brother was handicapped since birth essentially, and I was a straight A student. I was kind of expected to be okay. Didn't really have the emotional support I needed. And I wasn't very popular in school, so I didn't have any friends, and so I had to figure out how to deal with my emotions and deal with my struggles in a way where that helped me to survive, to get through what I was dealing with really as a kid. And that's really where I found God. God was a big portion of that, my faith, my provider, and because otherwise you're hopeless. There's nothing else to hope in and hope for, and so that was a huge part of my journey.
Amazing, beautiful. You see, when I get to listen to people who always give credit to God, oh boy, I found them very, very interesting to listen to. They sound to me as powerful people because that's just the truth. So you mentioned you got into the military. What inspired you to go into the military? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. There's a lot. So, I have a history. My family, my father, my grandfather, my uncle, we're all military guys. For me, for my mom, college wasn't really something that she could afford. And additionally, I had to stay with my father in my teenage years for about 3 or 4 years, and there was a really abusive situation. He was really physically, emotionally, mentally abusive, and so I kind of came out of that situation with a disrespect for authority. I struggled with male authority in my life, and I knew that the military would be kind of this thing that would really help me through my struggles. It would help me learn respect, duty, honor. It would help provide for me financially for college, and so it kind of felt like a thing that was the next best step for me in my journey.
Got it, got it. Okay, so why did you decide to own a rental property?
Well, rental property, yeah. You know, it was mostly just because I feel like I was watching a lot of investment videos, a lot of things, and being in the military, you get the VA veteran benefits, and so I just kind of felt like there was a lot of stock market collapses. There's a lot of uncertainties in the market at times, and I heard a saying once. Someone told me, "You can't live in your stock portfolio, but you can live in a house," and so. having a physical asset, something that actually has value, holds value, can, just, and it goes with inflation too, right? And so it holds its value over time, which is a really, really great thing. And you're providing housing for a family, someone who may not have the financial resources to buy a house, but they're able to rent. You're essentially creating opportunity to house somebody. And so I used the VA benefit. So we had bought the house originally, we refinanced it with a conventional loan, and then used the VA financing for a second house. And so it was a really easy way to do it because of with inflation. When I refinanced it conventional, there was some equity built in the house, so I didn't have to put any money down with the refinancing. And so that really allowed me to acquire a property with almost no money. And so just a huge financial blessing and opportunity to take advantage of.
And that's a smart one, investing in something that would always appreciate. Got it. And you see, I love your dress, all right? And it's got a brand on it, BizRetire. Can you tell us
Mm-hmm.
about it? And what problem are you solving with that?
Yeah, no, thank you. BizRetire. I was looking to buy a business for my wife, and the whole process was a little crazy. You see, there's a middleman called a business broker. It's kind of like a real estate agent for businesses, essentially. And by the time that so you have to contact them, they send you a non-disclosure agreement, essentially saying that you're not going to give away information. And then they send you a package, and we ask a question to the broker talks to the owner talks to the broker, back to me, the buyer. We were 3 or 4 weeks in the process and only had 1 or 2 questions answered about a business. And so, I kind of said, this process seems like it's taking a little bit longer than it needs to. There's a lot here that is going on, and I don't understand it. And so I did some research and created BizRetire. And what it does is it essentially connects the buyer and seller of a business directly with one another, and it cuts out the middleman. And, business brokers do serve a purpose. They protect the interest of a seller, the privacy. Because a lot of times buyers are just, hey, let me look at your business. And then they waste the seller's time. And, the business broker comes in and does that. But, it's 5 to 10 to 20% to sell a business. And so when you're a business owner, you got 50% taxes, 10 to 20% sales commission with a business broker. You got accountants and lawyers. 80% of a business owner's net worth is in the business, and then a lot of that they have to get rid of all these fees. And so BizRetire really does eliminate that fee, the commission between buyer and seller, that broker, right? And it allows the buyers, so the buyers have to pay, and what that does is it eliminates buyers who are just wasting time of the seller, and it allows there to be less competition, so the buyers have more of an opportunity to talk to owners. For example, my largest competitor, BizBuySell, they have 250,000 free members. And so if you're an owner and you list your business on there, you could have 10,000 emails. There's nobody out there that has time to sort through 10,000 buyers. And so we're really solving a problem for both the buyer and the seller in this marketplace.
That's amazing. And what that tells me is at times when we face a challenge, it's not necessarily just because of us, but because of others. You see, because the issue you had with the processing trying to buy a business for your wife now led to this amazing solution. That's amazing. I love that. But you see, I believe one thing is inevitable, which is challenges. So how has been the journey so far? What are some hurdles that you came across and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I'll tell you about a journey I'm still on. I think a lot of times when we look at businesses, we kind of idolize the Jeff Bezos and the Elon Musk, right? But what we don't realize is that Elon Musk literally slept on the factory floor and was waking every 2 or 3 hours because he needed to solve problems to make his product innovative and better. And I'm no different, right? 90% of all businesses that start up fail. There's a 90% failure rate, and I think at least the first time around. And so, I'm still on that journey. Not profitable, still struggling to make ends meet and things like that. And so, it's tough. One of the biggest things is it's my biggest enemy and my biggest ally is distraction. And I think it's so easy to get caught up on a little, phone app game, or to get caught up on, I'm on social media scrolling through people's, content, saying I'm working, which I am, but what I'm not doing is I'm not commenting, I'm not posting, I'm not actually producing anything that's bringing people to me. And so it's so easy for a whole day to go by and really look back on the day and be like, well, what did I accomplish? And so that's the enemy, of distraction. And the positive is that I can use that to reach audiences and get their attention and let them know about what I'm doing.
Exactly. You're so right and correct. So we have just two more questions to go. Do you think we should normalize failure, uncertainty, and struggle?
Yeah, if there's a 90% failure rate on the first time you start a business, but 80% of the messaging is positive and stories of success, we have to ask ourselves, if we're going into something and thinking we're 80% hopeful that we're going to succeed, that we're listening to the wrong messaging. We're really buying into a falsity, something that's not really telling us the truth about the situation. And I think we all love the underdog story as humans. We love the songs of victory, right, in the olden days. But it's hard to really sit there and look at failure. But failure is actually the best teacher because we learn the hard lessons of somebody else without actually going through the failure ourselves. And I think failure is a great teacher. It's a patient teacher. It's a kind teacher. It's a quick teacher. Sometimes we can look at success, but success only happens as a result of failure. It's the product of failure that success comes. We think we can just walk in and create success on our own, but it really is the payment for success is failure, and we need to learn more about it.
We need to learn more about it. Oh boy, that's a deep one, Evan. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, one more to go. So you just mentioned success now, all right? So how do you define success beyond just financial gain?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a, I'm as a business owner, I have 35 times more buyer accounts on my platform than I do seller accounts, and I've never advertised to buyers. I think it's because there's this myth out there that you can buy a business with no money down, you could be super successful, it's super easy to do, and people really want success. And my thing to them is well, what is it that you really want? A lot of people they really want the financial freedom. They really want the accomplishment. People to see them as a success or this big business person or smart or capable. And these things can drive a person to success for a temporary point of time. But I think true success is when you look at money and you define what money is. Money is other than a value of exchange. Money, I look at it as a certificate of service. And if you're providing service to people, they will award you with certificates, aka money. And so your goal should be how much money how much service can I provide to the world? And if you give the world, I think in return you will receive back what it is that you put into it. It's a lot like a gardening analogy, right? When you plant a tree, you don't get fruit right away. You're out in the sun, you get sunburn, you have to put good soil, you have to till the ground, you have to put the plant in there, you have to water it, you got to fertilize it, you got to cover it up when it's freezing, you got to, water it extra when it's hot. And you may not see a yield for 2 or 3 years, right? And there's a saying in planting, it's the first year is sleep, the second year is creep, and the third year is leap. And that's how the plant grows. And I think business is very similar, and providing value is very similar. Your impact, you have to do with the small things well before you can be giving bigger things. And I think that's how the world works. And I think the Bible speaks to that as well. And so I think success is providing value and being persistent with it.
Providing value and being persistent with it. I'll take that as a final thought. That's profound. So for folks who would like to reach out to you, Evan, or ask questions or learn more about everything we've discussed so far, how can that be possible?
Yeah, reach out to me on socials. I have a platform. If you look at BizRetire, Facebook, X. I'm most active on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me directly there as well.
Okay, beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, my man. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this beautiful stuff with us. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
That was a beautiful one. I love it.